The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not explicitly prohibit mounting an outlet box face up on the floor under a jet tub. However, there are several code sections that apply to this situation. These sections, while not directly addressing the face-up mounting, provide guidelines that can be interpreted to discourage or prohibit the practice. Firstly, NEC Section 406.9. B1 requires that outlet boxes be securely attached to a substantial surface. The question arises whether simply screwing the outlet box to the floor constitutes a secure attachment to a substantial surface. Secondly, NEC Section 406.9. B2 prohibits mounting outlet boxes on ceilings unless approved for such use. Although the area under the jet tub is technically the floor, one might argue that it functionally acts as a ceiling in this context, as it's the underside of the tub structure. Thirdly, NEC Section 406.8 requires that outlet boxes be installed in a manner that protects the conductors from physical damage. An outlet box mounted face up on the floor is potentially vulnerable to water, debris, or physical impact. Fourthly, NEC Section 406.9. C1 requires that outlet boxes be accessible after installation. Placing an outlet box under a jet tub may impede access for inspection, maintenance, or repair. Now consider the practical implications of such an installation. The box may collect water or debris, which could create a fire hazard or shock hazard. The box may become a tripping hazard or an obstruction to maintenance or repair work. The box may not provide adequate support for the outlet cover plate, which could lead to the cover plate becoming loose or falling off. Let's elaborate on the interpretation of the NEC sections. While the NEC doesn't explicitly forbid mounting an outlet box face up on the floor, the general requirements for outlet boxes and their installation can be interpreted to prohibit this practice. It could be argued that the box is not securely attached to a substantial surface, as it is simply screwed to the floor, potentially lacking the necessary rigidity and stability. The argument could be made that the box is mounted on what is functionally a ceiling under the tub, which is not approved for such use. The conductors in the box may be subject to physical damage if water or debris enters the box through the open bottom, or if objects are dropped or kicked in that area. The box is not readily accessible after installation, as it is located under the tub, making it difficult to inspect or service the connections. The potential for water or debris accumulation within the box is a significant concern. Water intrusion can lead to corrosion of the electrical connections, increasing the risk of short circuits and ground faults. Debris, such as dust, hair, or other materials, can also accumulate in the box, potentially interfering with the proper functioning of the electrical components. From a practical standpoint, an outlet box mounted face up on the floor can pose several challenges. It may become a tripping hazard, particularly if the cover plate is not flush with the floor surface. It may also obstruct maintenance or repair work, making it difficult to access plumbing or other components located under the tub. The support provided by the floor may not be adequate for the outlet cover plate, especially if the floor is uneven or prone to vibration. This could lead to the cover plate becoming loose or falling off, exposing the electrical connections. Based on these NEC requirements and practical considerations, it's generally not recommended to mount an outlet box face up on the floor under a jet tub. This practice may create safety hazards and may not comply with the intent of the NEC, even if a specific clause is not violated. Alternative mounting locations or methods should be explored to ensure a safe and compliant installation. The goal is to ensure the electrical box is in a secure and safe place. Here's a more detailed breakdown of the relevant NEC sections. Firstly, looking deeper at section 406.9. B1. The requirement for secure attachment to a substantial surface is paramount. This implies that the mounting method should be robust enough to withstand normal use and potential accidental impacts. Screwing the box directly to the floor might not provide adequate support, especially if the floor material is soft or prone to movement. A more substantial mounting bracket or a recessed box might be necessary to meet this requirement. Secondly, regarding section 406.9. B2. The prohibition of ceiling-mounted boxes unless approved is intended to prevent boxes from falling or becoming dislodged. While the underside of a jet tub is not technically a ceiling, it shares some similarities in terms of its overhead position and potential for downward force. Therefore, it's reasonable to apply the same principle of requiring approved mounting methods for such locations. Thirdly, Section 406.8 A. Focusing on protection from physical damage is crucial in this scenario. The location under a jet tub is susceptible to moisture, spills, and potential impacts from objects falling or being dropped. The outlet box must be adequately protected from these hazards to prevent damage to the conductors and ensure electrical safety. This might involve using a watertight box or providing additional shielding. Fourthly, accessibility, as addressed in Section 406.9. C1 is essential for future maintenance and repairs. The outlet box should be located in a position that allows easy access for inspection, testing, and replacement of components. Placing it under a jet tub can significantly hinder accessibility, making it difficult to perform necessary work without removing or partially disassembling the tub. In addition to the NEC sections, other factors should be considered. The presence of a GFCI, or ground fault circuit interrupter, is a positive safety measure, as it provides protection against electrical shock in wet locations. However, it doesn't eliminate the need for proper installation and protection of the outlet box. The type of wiring method used is also important. If flexible conduit is used to connect to the outlet box, it should be properly supported and protected from physical damage. The use of appropriate fittings and connectors is also essential to ensure a secure and watertight connection. Furthermore, consider the long-term effects of the installation. Over time, the floor under the jet tub may be exposed to moisture, which could lead to corrosion of the outlet box and its components. It's important to select materials that are resistant to corrosion and to provide adequate ventilation to prevent moisture buildup. In conclusion, while there may not be a specific NEC code that explicitly prohibits mounting an outlet box face-up under a jet tub, the general requirements for secure attachment, protection from physical damage, accessibility, and the potential for water or debris accumulation all point to the need for a different approach. It's best to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to determine the most appropriate and compliant method for providing electrical power to the jet tub. They can assess the specific conditions and recommend a solution that meets both safety and code requirements. It is important to prioritize safety. There may be situations where it's possible to mount an outlet box in a less than ideal location and still meet the minimum code requirements. However, it's always best to err on the side of caution and to choose a mounting method that provides the highest level of safety and reliability. Remember that the NEC is a minimum standard, and exceeding those standards is always encouraged. The goal is to create an electrical installation that is safe, reliable, and easy to maintain for the long term. Now let's consider some alternative mounting options. Firstly, if possible, relocate the outlet box to a more accessible and protected location. This might involve mounting it on an adjacent wall or in a nearby cabinet. Secondly, if relocation is not feasible, consider using a recessed outlet box with a watertight cover. This can provide a higher level of protection against moisture and physical damage. Thirdly, use a surface-mounted outlet box with a raised cover. This can help to keep the box off the floor and away from potential hazards. Fourthly, install a junction box in a more accessible location and run conduit to the jet tub. This can allow for a safer and more convenient connection point. The choice of mounting method will depend on the specific circumstances and the available space. It's important to carefully consider all of the factors before making a decision. Remember to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards. They can provide valuable guidance and help to ensure a safe and compliant installation. The key is to prioritize safety and to choose a mounting method that minimizes the risks of electrical shock, fire, and physical damage. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that the electrical installation for the jet tub is safe, reliable, and compliant with the NEC. And when you are working on the electrical installation, be sure to always turn off the power before working on any electrical components. This will help to prevent electrical shock and ensure your safety. The NEC is not just a set of rules, it is a comprehensive guide to safe electrical practices. When working with electricity, safety should always be the top priority. When in doubt, consult a qualified electrician.